here are some terrific ideas taken from the United Nations Population Fund's report published in 2017. Meet all commitments and obligations to human rights agreed in international treaties and conventions. Tear down barriers that prevent young women from obtaining sexual and reproductive health information. In developing countries, 7.3 million girls give birth before reaching age 18 every year. Reach the poorest women with essential life-saving prenatal and maternal health care. Every day, more than 800 women die giving birth. Bolster services such as childcare to enable women to enter or remain in the paid labor force. Eliminate obstacles to girls' access to secondary and higher education and to their enrollment in courses in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It's a great report. Everyone should read it.
I tried to reflect on my own experiences, and I remember I started hearing the glass ceiling, unequal pay, unequal representation of women when I was in business school many years ago. I remember I was surprised. I grew up and was educated in Hong Kong, a place that had deep-rooted traditions that value boys more than girls. But when I entered the workforce and worked in one of the most competitive banks there, women were at every level of management. Then how come such problems exist in the US, supposedly a more advanced and developed country? I didn't understand. But since then, I have worked many years in the US. One contributing factor I can see is the lack of quality and affordable childcare. Whereas in Hong Kong, family help and live-in nannies are common. We won't solve the childcare problem in a short period of time, but I do think each of us can do something about it. Start at home with your spouse and kids. Man needs to take on more child-related responsibilities at home. Teach your sons and daughters. Unless we reach a balance at home front, we will continue to see the disparity at work. And as a firm or hiring managers, if we want to bring in and keep women talents because we value what women bring to the table, we need to think of ways to help them overcome their obstacles.
I think this is a complex question. I think it's important for companies to ensure that hiring decisions and promotions are fair and that senior leaders are focused on recruiting, hiring, and promoting the best candidates. I believe it is important for companies to focus on diversity and foster an inclusive and respectful culture where women are provided with the opportunity to succeed.
So I was posed a question about how do we create an equal world, given that it's International Women's Day this week. And I thought about it mostly with respect to the professional work environment, but somewhat in the personal environment too, because they both sort of bleed into each other as we have personal relationships in our professional life. And the first overarching theme that I thought about was that, making an equal world is not something we can do overnight. It's definitely something that takes time and baby steps to get there. And I think there's been a lot of progress in the last decade or more, but certainly there's more to be made all the time. So I guess I would say, how do we as professional women work on closing the gap and therefore creating a more equal world? And my first thought was that CEOs and leadership of firms need to be much more cognizant. Some are more cognizant than others. I think I have the luxury of working for a CEO who is very cognizant of women's equality, and we all do in this room. KBRA is a special place in that there are a large number of women not only in all positions, but many in leadership positions. So we probably don't see the effects of inequality in a professional work world quite as much as others. I had the luxury of working at Goldman Sachs for 25 years, and they were very focused on equality. How did they do that, and how do I think we can do an even better job? I would say, first off, it's about education and making sure that women get equal education to men. And I think here in the US, we do a very good job on that, but we as women can promote education within the workplace. Mentoring is something that's a logical follow-on to education. And I know that I personally take a very active role in mentoring women, and it's very important to me to pay it forward because I was mentored by women, not only in my first role job at Standard & Poor's, but very much so at Goldman Sachs. And that's something that I want to leave as a legacy, and I think that a lot of people are very good at that here at KBRA, but we can all do it at any level. It doesn't mean that an associate can't mentor an analyst or a coordinator. It can be done throughout the spectrum. And then I would say a follow-on to that is opportunity. Mentoring leads to opportunity, right? Good education, good mentoring leads to opportunities, and we should always try to make opportunities for other women. You know, we have, I'm sure, all experienced in the workplace where people are out for themselves, not necessarily women or men. I'm not differentiating, but we as women really need to stick together to make sure that we're providing opportunity for other women. So I guess my theme would be education, opportunity, and mentoring, and really just trying to make things a better place day by day, week by week, month by month. And things like this International Women's Day and all gathering together to talk about women and equality and how to make a difference, that's a start. So that's it. Thank you.
I think opportunity is a key word here, as well as understanding and awareness. In a lot of cases, those communities that face inequalities don't know where and how to start this reality change because they don't have the resources. They can't do that if society doesn't understand that there are issues that need to be addressed. We need to provide them with the opportunities and resources to reach their full potential and bridge gaps. To do that, we need to listen. Chimamanda Adichie, she's a wonderful writer and speaker, once discussed the dangers of a single story in her most famous TED Talk. And those are essentially stories people hear of a person, gender, community, country, religion, whatever it is, and that's all they have to create their idea of those communities. She said that the problem with those single stories is that they create stereotypes. The problem with stereotypes is not that they are necessarily wrong, but they are incomplete. And that really stuck with me, not only as an immigrant woman who's come from Brazil and fought stereotypes for as long as she could remember, but as someone who's guilty of allowing a single story to narrow my views in the past. That opened my eyes even more. I think that we can only answer the question on how to create a more equal world when we stop focusing on those single stories and we take an extra step to learn about the equality issues, whether it is based on gender, race, nationality, skin color, whatever. People also need to understand that just because they don't face those issues or it doesn't affect them directly, that they can still make a difference and speak up. Not only those in nonprofits or working in those communities and governments can make a difference. To the contrary, we need everyday people in all levels of the workforce and society to listen, open their eyes and minds before we can achieve a more equal world.
Achieving an equal world is such a massive undertaking that has obviously taken years and a lot of work to make strides in the right direction. While likely not achievable in my lifetime, or possibly several to follow, I believe that small changes now can snowball over time into palpable shifts in perception, mindset, and application. Continued education and role modeling parity for the next generations may help us get there. I have seen the world through the eyes of my teenage son and his high school friends, who have a much different view than my parents and grandparents did. My son only knows a mom that is driven, an achiever, and the breadwinner. He also only knows a stepdad that has been home for him every day after school. He has grown up in a household where chores and responsibilities are shared. It's up to us to model the world we want for the next generations. I think that if we are more supportive of those fighting for equality, believe in positive change, show bravery in silencing the mind that says we're not enough, trust in all the amazing possibilities we have to offer, and encourage others to do the same, we can help continue the progress.